Good afternoon everyone. It's now Saturday afternoon, 21st of March. I've spent most of the day so far going through the various government announcements following the briefing last night, which was quite a significant event really in British history. I've also been in touch again with our clients today, so the property owners that we manage properties for as Foxdog Properties. The support that I've received from many of them this week has been overwhelmingly positive, and they've given us a really good feedback in terms of our approach to property management, and also overwhelmingly that they want to help and support their tenants through this very difficult time. So I talked about recording some videos to give you some practical tips on how to help you through this time. So what I thought I'd do today is share with you the information that I've shared with my clients. This is primarily on how to help and support tenants affected. Now, so far we have been a little bit affected, but I expect this to increase over the coming days and weeks. So far we have one family who are self-isolating, we have one tenant who last week was sent home from work without pay, and unfortunately we have another tenant who has lost his job as a result of the current situation. So what I've been doing is compiling an advice note essentially for our tenants on what they can do to help themselves during this time. The first thing is self-isolating. The NHS website and the 111 website now has a set of questions where you can effectively self-diagnose and see if you do need to self-isolate at home. If you do so, you can also apply for what's now known as an isolation note. So no longer you need a sick note or a fit note from the doctor, but you can get an isolation note. And you can use this to send to your employer. For us, where our tenants might be affected by this, we've asked them to send us a copy as well, so that we've got that on record if at any point in the future we need to evidence the fact that they decided to or were asked to stay at home. For the tenant who has been asked to go home without pay, yesterday there was a very significant government announcement which basically the government is going to underwrite 80% of everybody's wages and salary if they are asked to go home due to lack of demand because of the virus situation. This will help an awful lot of people be able to remain financially viable during this difficult time. Now, there is an option for the employers to top up that remaining 20%, but even if they don't do so, then certainly people in that situation will get 80% of their wages paid. Now, initially this is for a 3-month duration, but I think it's highly likely that this is going to be extended for as long as necessary. So this is going to be a relief to many property owners in terms of the tenants that are in their properties. So they should remain somewhat financially viable through this time. For the tenant that I mentioned who unfortunately has lost his job at this time, we are helping support him by providing resources to universal credit. So the government has announced that universal credit will be available much quicker than the standard current 5 weeks to assist people in difficult situations. But also, we're also directing him to employers that are actually recruiting at this time. You may have seen on the news that supermarkets in particular are recruiting thousands and thousands of people to get them through this very busy period. So we're helping our tenants also look for alternative employment as well in areas that are actually seeing growth at this unusual time. So we're also directing our tenants to the NHS and 111 websites for general health advice. So in terms of if they are still working and they still remain well, what else can they do to help support the local wider community? And this effectively boils down to 2 key things: is stay at home as much as possible, so work from home and not use public transport unless absolutely essential, and obviously wash your hands, which is the key message that everybody else is getting. So I hope this is some really useful practical steps and information that you can share with your tenants to get us all through this difficult time.